Hey, I want to change gears in this video, and I want to answer the questions that you're likely asking about working with us. So, number one, how does our guaranteed sale program work? This one's really simple. We will sell the home at 100% of your asking price, or we'll pay back the difference. And we'll pay back the difference up to the entire amount of the commission collected on the listing side. So that's the fine print. It's that we will take our commission all the way down to zero. So here's the example. If the data shows us that your home should be $1 million home, we'll list for $1 million, and if it sells for $990, we owe you $10,000 back. If it sells for $980, we owe you $20,000 back, and so on, all the way up to the point where we collect nothing. Now, what this program is not, it's not one of those sell your home 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar programs. It's not a discount program by any means. It's one driven to get you full market value at a price you're happy with, your asking price. Common question we get is, how does the home audit work, where we're looking at what home improvements you should do, but also which ones you should not do? And I want you to focus on that second part, the what you should not do. One of the most common things is we'll get out to somebody's house, and the worst case is where they've shown us, hey, we've painted this, we've done that, right? They've already put all this money into the property, but most times if you would wait for an audit, you'd find out that we're actually gonna encourage you to put a lot of that money back in your pocket, and if we're gonna deploy any, let's put it in very specific spots that'll be what we would call high leverage. So these low effort but very high return activities that will genuinely make an impact on your sales price. And remember, the number one home improvement that you should be doing is actually staging the home. And you want to think about that as being a home improvement. We have a video on that, so make sure you find that as well, or just ask us about it. Our job is to make everything easy for you, so you shouldn't be out there guessing at what to do. The home audit, it's not about getting you to spend money, improve things. In fact, most times, like I've said, we're encouraging you to put a lot of what you were going to put into the house and put it back in your pocket instead. Do you cover staging costs? We always make sure that you are happy with the net amount of your proceeds, meaning you're only ever staging if the net value of your home sale is going to be greater. Think of it this way. A lot of people take their home for sale and they start spending money in different areas of the house trying to get it ready for the marketplace. So they might remodel a bathroom, or they might, fix up the backyard, they do something inside, they paint the home, they change the carpets, whatever it might be. And those are all improvements that are done to the property to elevate the final sales price and therefore the final net proceeds to you, the seller. So in the case of staging, you should be thinking about staging as a home improvement. While it's not permanent to the property, staging is really something that you are doing that not only elevates a certain room, like the bathroom, the powder room, right, or this area of the outdoors, but rather elevates the entire property, creates a better showing experience, better photography, more people show up, they have a great experience once they're at the property, and therefore elevated pricing, elevated sales price, which has been shown over and over again in absolutely every piece of research that's ever been conducted as far as how staging affects your final sales price. So think of staging as a home improvement, and still make sure you ask your realtor how they can ensure that it makes the most sense for you. A lot of people want to know about our cash offer program, and I want to just share very openly exactly what it is. So the cash offer program is not for most people. Most people, if you're looking to get the absolute highest market value, pin buyers versus buyers, get them to use buyer psychology in your favor so you can create a negotiating advantage and run them through the entire 5-day blitz process that we're known for, this is not that. The cash offer program is for people that want to go through no effort, max convenience, get the money now, have absolute certainty, and just be done with it. So it's not for everybody, but in the right scenario where either you need money immediately or you just don't want people trekking through your home and you're willing to sell to an investor who's going to pay cash and who's expecting a reduced price in exchange for the speed, the convenience, and the very little hassle, really no hassle. That's what the cash offer is all about. Now, I will say this. There's people that even if you want max value, you can still leverage the cash offer. And the way you do that is you get the cash offer, just becomes an option. You're not obligated to it, but you can still go to market with our entire trademarked 5-day blitz program that gets you maximum sales price, max market value. And so what happens is once you start getting offers from the marketplace, say somebody writes you an offer, you are legitimately able to now tell them, hey, we have multiple offers. We have another offer. You're now in competition. They'll, of course, never know that that was a cash offer. They'll never know that it was an investor price. And so in their mind, that other buyer liked the property just as much as you did. And so now they're competing for the home. So the point is this, our job number one is to make real estate easy for you. Whether you're going full market value or whether you want max convenience, our job is to make it easy, and our job is to give you options so that you aren't just pigeonholed into one program that a realtor has, but instead that you're able to do exactly what makes sense for your circumstances, your situation, your property. One of the most common questions we get is, how do the commissions work? And it's a really good question, probably one of the most important things as it relates to your bottom line. Let's first talk about how commissions generally work across the industry. Most realtors, they have whatever their fee is going to be, and they charge you the fee regardless of where the buyer comes from, regardless of who procures the buyer, how much work is done, how much value is created. Our philosophy is that you should never be paying any kind of compensation outside of the value that you've been provided. And it's our belief that if those two are in balance, if compensation and value are in balance, then people are really happy. But it's when those two get out of balance, and especially, again, relative to where does that buyer come from, so there's not necessarily the same amount of value being provided in accordance to how much compensation is being paid, and that sellers really start to get upset. So what we've done, we do this really differently, like most things. We'll do it differently than the rest of the industry because we think a little bit different. Because we think different than the industry, and that's also why we get different results that are recognized by publications like the Wall Street Journal, Real Trends, and San Diego Business Journal among the top teams in the nation. So the way we work it is we have what we call a flexible commission schedule. You might be paying anywhere from 0%, depending on where that buyer comes from, all the way through 3 other tiers that continue to rise in terms of how much commission's paid out. But remember, you'll only ever pay those higher amounts if after the fee differences, you're still netting more money. So we've built a system that ensures you're only ever taking the offer that results in the highest net value to you, again, after the fee differences. We call it our flexible commission structure, and it's what you've heard some of the San Diego's most beloved hosts on Kogo, KSON, Kixie, among another of other stations, including The Fan, 93.3, right, the home of the Padres, The Fan, as being one of the reasons why they would work with the Beer home team. In fact, when we worked with Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson, one of the key things that he really liked about the structure we were working with, he had already been through 3 other agents, home had gone unsold over the course of over 2 years, and in only 16 days we sold his home at 100% of his asking price. And one of the key drivers was he liked that we had a fair compensation model. Hey Dan, how long is the listing agreement, and what if I get stuck with my agent and I want out? So this is one of the biggest fears that home sellers have, and so for that reason, whenever somebody asks us, how long is the listing agreement, what are the terms? The answer is we work with a minute-to-minute listing agreement, meaning that you are happy every day, every moment really. But think of it in terms of being happy every day when you go to sleep, every morning when you wake up. You're happy or you're free. You're always in control. The typical listing agreement in the real estate business is this 6-month hostage agreement that you're just stuck. And the reality is, if you think about it, you sat at your kitchen table likely with a real estate agent, maybe 2 or 3 that you interviewed, and you went ahead and chose one based on maybe an hour-long conversation. And you have your entire house, right? You have your real estate on the line, now tied up with this person who you're just hoping will perform, who you're hoping will deliver on everything that they promised, but could very easily just become somebody else the next day, and you're stuck. That's the typical. So for those reasons, we want to take that risk completely off your shoulders and take it and put it on us instead to perform day in, day out. You have to be happy or you're absolutely free to go. Seller can cancel at any time for any reason and without penalty prior to being under contract. We volunteer that clause into every listing agreement, and it's because A, it's the right thing to do, and B, it's kind of crazy if you think about it for a real estate agent to try and hold someone hostage. It's really not smart business, and it's not what we do. Now, we also have a belief that, yes, if you were to ask an agent to cancel, many will if you really ask and press them, but there's a difference with someone who volunteers it up front, so you never have the worry. Now here's an interesting question. How do you decrease your payments with higher interest rates? And the way you do it is when you're able, if you have equity in your property, and you also have consumer debt. Consumer debt right now, it is an absolute record high. Credit card debt, consumer debt, it's in the amount of trillions of debt that is out there. It's astronomical. And so people are paying, and you might be one of them, paying 18, 19, 20, 22% interest rates on that consumer debt. So what you want to look at is if you have home equity, there's an opportunity where you could refinance and cash out some of your equity. Now you're going to pay an elevated interest rate on that cash out refinance, but you're going to use that to pay off the debt. Now you've taken, say, a 5, 6, 7% rate, whatever it is that your interest rate is at today on that cash out refinance, and you're using it to pay down what you're currently paying, maybe 18, 19, 20, 22% on that consumer debt side. A tangible example of it would be, let's imagine that you had $50,000 worth of credit card debt and you're paying 20% on it. And then over here you have a house. Okay, thankfully you have a house that's appreciated. You've owned it for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It's appreciated and you have a whole bunch of equity. Now, while your interest rate on your home might be 3% or 2.5% or 4%, right, the old rates, those really low rates, and you have the opportunity to pull out $50,000 that, yes, you're going to pay, say, 6% or 7%, just whatever it might be, that elevated cash out refinance rate, but you're going to use that cash to pay off the $50,000 of debt that the credit card debt that you're currently paying 20% on. Effectively, what you've done is you've taken that, instead of paying 20% on that debt, you're now paying 6 or 7%, and you've now made up 13 points in terms of lowered interest rate payments. Moral of the story, if you have home equity and you have credit card debt, you want to reach out so we can put you in touch with someone that'll walk you through this for your specific situation, and the likely result is your monthly payments will be lower. Common question right now is, I'm in a home that I'd like to move from, but interest rates are a lot higher than what I'm used to, and I just feel kind of stuck. Well, the first part of the answer to this is, and it might surprise you coming from a real estate agent, is maybe you should do nothing. Maybe you actually should stay put. And look, if you like your home, if you're comfortable, if you fit, if it serves your needs, and absolutely, there's no need to be spending any energy or time thinking about how do you move from one property to the other. I would say ignore the marketplace, go about just nailing whatever you do professionally, get great at your craft, become one of the best out there at what you do, and ultimately, you're going to be just fine. Put all of that worry energy into that instead. Now, on the other hand, if the property you're currently in doesn't suit your needs anymore, maybe it was your bachelor pad, but now you're married with 2 kids and you're just sort of popping out of the place because it was a 1-bedroom or a studio and you just don't fit anymore. Or there's some other life circumstance that just says, hey, we need to make a move. Then the number one piece of advice I'd give you is turn off the news and turn off just all of the advice from your real estate professional friends who, right, like they're not professionals. They're someone who bought a home once, sold a home once, and have very little experience. And instead, reframe your mind to, I'm not chasing down an interest rate. I'm not chasing down a home value. What I'm chasing down is a particular payment. And if you're clear on what you're willing to invest every month for the lifestyle that you're looking for, then we can work together to share with you what homes would fit that payment. At that point, you'd be able to make a very clear decision on, does my payment and the homes that it will buy me, the property will buy me, does that payment make sense? Is the move worthwhile? And now you can make a clear-headed decision. But when you're really kind of just looking at the news and the cycle of, hey, interest rates are this and that and prices are here and there, like, it becomes very difficult to make a clear-headed decision. Our job is to help make all of this very easy for you, so let us walk you through it. Reach out, we'll be happy to do so. There are some of our most commonly asked questions. We wanted to provide you answers. Make sure you follow this channel, hit that bell for notifications, and subscribe so that you're the first to know of any changing market conditions in San Diego, and we'll help you make that smooth move, whether it's within the county or into the county from outside. So with that, we'll see you on the next video.